Good evening. You're welcome to the Extreme Movie Show. You're listening to not Rob. Listen to that's right, RDV. I'm the captain now. Rob is taking a leave of absence just for tonight and possibly Tuesday as well. He's having a little Merry Christmas with his wife and his family. In his place, I decided, you know what? I thought I'd bring on Eric Breen because Eric Breen likes to talk, especially and especially about these older movies, especially with Christmas being around. Breen, you've been telling me you watch a lot of these older movies, like at least 4 or 5 of them every year, and this is one of them you watch.
Well, first let me say that I am not Rob, but I will do my best to fill in for him wherever he may be, celebrating a last-second victory of his beloved Washington Redskins. They will never be Commanders to me. And we wish Rob and his a Merry Christmas. And yes, I do have a particular affinity for older movies. We talk about it all the time. I watched 13 Christmas movies this year, and
wow,
you can count the number of people that were in them that are still alive on the fingers of one hand.
Right?
And there's something about those movies that just that they're innocent, they're magical, and they're each one's in its own way. And the one we're going to talk about tonight, it happened on Fifth Avenue, maybe the most heartwarming Christmas movie I've ever seen. I watch it every year. This is probably the 6th or 7th year I have. And when you mentioned that, you needed someone to fill in for Rob this weekend, if I had a suggestion, this is the one I came up with, because it's not a movie that very many people have seen, because it's admittedly a B movie. I mean, if you noticed, you looked up and down the list of people in it.
Yeah.
And none of the names, the closest one to a recognizable name to just, normal part would be Alan Hale, because he was the skipper on Gilligan's Island. Everybody else just, if you watch old movies, you go, I recognize that guy, or
yes,
kind of familiar, but there are definitely no household names in this movie.
Yeah, I'm looking at Gale Storm plays the lead role here.
Yeah. Trudy
O'Connor here, 18-year-old girl, basically rebelling from her father. She dropped out of school. Her parents are separated or divorced, and her father has pretty much become like an Ebenezer Scrooge in a sense. Well, he got so infatuated with his money, where his wife basically, left him.
Well, basically, the premise for the movie is, it starts. There's a bum, for lack of a better term,
yes,
who every year around the holidays moves into Michael O'Connor's mansion. Mm-hmm. And the movie sets at the very beginning. There's a bus tour going through Manhattan.
Yeah,
and the guys pointing out the town home of the great industrial wizard Michael O'Connor.
Yeah,
and that's the house that this bum, Aloysius T. McKeever, played by Victor Moore, a great character actor from the golden age of Hollywood, it moves in, and
with his dog.
Yeah, and along the way he meets this GI who had just been evicted from his apartment by force.
Yep.
After he chains himself to the bed. Because they have to make way for another Mike O'Connor project.
Yeah. Yes.
So he's got a built-in animosity towards O'Connor, and so he meets him on a park bench when his dog sets off a sprinkler. And so he decides to let him stay with him, and then the daughter comes home because she's left boarding school, and they don't know who she is. She doesn't know who they are, but then she quickly figures it out and decides to play along.
Yep.
And word gets back to her father, and that's how they meet. And but by this time she's fallen for the guy, the Don DeFore character, Jim Bullock.
Yep.
And she's fallen in love with him, and she wants her dad to meet him, but not as Michael O'Connor. But so she convinces him to go along with.
Yeah, another panhandler.
This is just becoming a boarding house because Jim Bullock plays an army vet.
Yeah.
Who ends up getting some of his friends to move in with him.
Yep.
So it's basically become a boarding house. And then, so the second richest man in the world, disguised himself as a bum.
Yep.
And moves into his own house.
Undercover bosses.
That's the original undercover boss.
And I said the main actor here, as far as the guy, the squatter, Victor Moore, is he's just awesome in this. It's like, is a character as a guy I've never heard of before. Because he's always older. He's older, golden age. Before actually, there's golden age, and then there's like even older,
platinum age.
And like you said, I love him as a little dog. He kicks a fence open and flips it open, then he goes in. And then he's got the umbrella. He's kind of like, I'm like, oh, this is kind of like Penguin-esque. He's got the umbrella. He hooks the manhole cover, and then he starts crawling on the manhole. I'm like, oh, that's gotta be horrible crawling in down there. And that's how he gets in, because the front door's locked. So he goes in through like a cellar or sewer way, and he crawls down there. And I love it. And then he's like, the dog jumps arms, and then he goes. All you see is the umbrella tip, and it pulls the manhole cover, and then he's immediately in there. Yeah. First thing he does, though, I love, he flips the lights on. And I'm like, okay, this is one of those, because I like that. The show shows you the layout of the mansion, how big it is, the two light switches. But then he goes to the electrical box. I love this. He wires it so when the door opens, the lights go out. So because they have these two policemen that walk in and always check and see there's no squatters during the winter. Because he said he's there from November 3rd till March 3rd or 13th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you recognize one of the two cops?
Oh, they look familiar.
The little squat one was the thug that attacks Nick Charles in The Thin Man in his bedroom.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Another
Edward
Brophy's another character actor from that era, who is one of those guys. The voice is unmistakable.
Yeah.
And he's been in so many things you've seen that you may have just not even noticed. But
seeing Alan Hale Jr. being young, just blew my mind. I'm like, is that a Beach Boy? Because if you had not said that it was him, I would have had to like look it up and just more. And I was like, because I don't know Alan Hale Jr. I only know him as a skipper. I don't know.
Right.
So I said, as soon as he popped on the screen, I'm like, I'm like, wow, that must be him, because I'm like, and they look closer, I'm like, oh my gosh, it is him.
Yeah.
Because I've only ever seen like George Kennedy play a younger version himself. I've never seen Alan Hale, Jr. play a younger version of himself, or not a younger version, but I'm saying the younger.
Yeah, you see, you know somebody so completely from one role
in that age. Yeah,
it's almost like you can't imagine that they were ever anybody else. Right. So it's to see him, as a much younger man, probably like almost 20 years.
I've known you for 5 years. You haven't changed at all. You're still wearing the same Daredevil pop shirt.
Give me in 15. But back to the movie.
Yeah.
Like I said, so now you've got all these people living in this house, and there's a really, now it's okay. One of the things about these old movies are the things that happen, couldn't possibly happen in real life. We all know that. And we, it's watching these old movies, it helps to be a comic book fan, because you have a built-in sense of suspension of disbelief. Because when Mike walks in and sees his daughter taking care of the baby, and she's talking about Jim, about wanting to marry him, and
when you meet her,
and of course, he's thinking the baby is hers, and when she says, "Oh, we're not married yet," and he goes, "You're not?" And she goes, "No." He goes, "Jim likes to wait on." He does, and he's about to blow a gasket, and then the actual mother comes home.
Yeah, I love it, because he's like, "Well, how did you guys meet? In the icebox?"
Yeah.
Yeah, and Mr. McLeaver was there too. Keever. Yeah, I was like, what? Like I said, he's kind of like, because I remember like when I ever see Michael Connolly, or O'Connor. Yeah, sorry.
I've seen it 7 times, and I still think it's O'Connell half the time.
Yeah. So I love the way he acts. It's kind of like Uncle Scrooge pretending to be a squatter in his own home.
Well,
I love that because this guy does convince me that he is, the prim proper, like guy who's not, who's used to dressing in a certain way, but then he has to basically like remember, hey, like you have he's basically humanity before he became obsessed with the money, because his wife says like he's because she is he's ready to call this the whole thing off, get him arrested because he's had enough of this. I love that because then Trudy calls her mother down in Florida. He's come over here. He's like, but mom, you gotta like, he's like, what? I want to meet this Jim. Okay, well, you gotta do this. She's like, where can I find nice clothes? Like, I know. They go back to the same shop. And I love that scene though, originally where they got Mike's clothes at that shop, their store. He's like, wool? No, I don't get wool. And he goes this whole spiel.
That's. Hey, but dude, I got the whole wool convention.
He's like, yeah,
it's like a buffet.
Like, if I get one wool here, and then I get a moth, and he tells the other moth, and then I'm up here spraying all night, and I'm a wife to show us the divorce. It's like, I was just laughing because he's like, how much? Because he's gonna give him his old clothes back, and he's like, because originally the guy wanted $12. He's like, well, how much I give you this? I'll give you $6 for this.
Yeah.
Just like a standout character, like he had such a small role, but like in that scene, you don't even see him the second time when her mom gets the clothes. You just see the guy the first time.
I want to take a second to say that Charles Ruggles, he's another one of those character actors that you've seen usually playing some kind of ne'er-do-well or a heavy. It's kind of rare to see him in a quote good guy role. But I thought he was terrific in it, and and honestly, I like the fact that this was considered a B movie because these characters, they were easier to believe because they weren't huge stars.
No, Don DeFore, after watching A Shop Around the Corner, he looked like he was probably around the same age as whatever Jimmy Stewart was, or a little older.
A little younger. Don DeFore was younger.
I mean, he had the same kind of swagger, same kind of acting chops. I thought he was a good actor in this movie.
Well, he was, and he just, for whatever reason, he wasn't a big star. But okay. So you were talking about how one of the backstories is Jim and his friend Whitey, played by the skipper, they come up with this idea to take. Well, actually, they get the idea from Aloysius. They have all these housing units from leftover barracks from army stations that are being unused, and they want to convert them to apartments for houses for GIs.
Yep.
And so they have this big idea, but the problem is Michael O'Connor is bidding on the same land for one of his projects. So every time, every time they up the bid, Michael O'Connor's people, they up the bid, and one doesn't know what the other one's doing, obviously, because these people only know Michael O'Connor as this rich fat cat, and they have no idea that he's literally under his own roof with them. And he starts to get a little bit, a little bit grumpy. Trudy's decided she's had enough, so she calls mom, and Michael and Mary, they divorced years ago, like 4 years ago, because she decided he was basically cheating on her with his money.
Mm-hmm.
So she'd been living the life of luxury in Florida. She comes back, and Trudy gets her to play along. And there's
really a wager. They basically they argue. I love it. He's like,
well, but before that though, he comes in after shoveling snow with under the supervision of Aloysius,
who's smoking cigars, wearing his robe and his nice clothes. He's like, even he says, you know what? You're kind of the same size. Maybe you're lucky. I'll let you wear the robe too.
And he smells something that he hasn't smelled for years. It's this dish called slumgullion.
Yeah.
And he goes into the kitchen and he tastes it. And then Mary goes, hello, Michael. And they meet up again for the first time in years.
And you see, I love the way he said, like, he reminds me of kind of like back. It's kind of like Scrooge in a sense where he's like, No, as I said, it's loosely like Scrooge, but almost in the sense he remembers. Oh, when he was younger, when they're together, like that's how he met her, like because she made the stew, and that's one of the reasons he married her because like that's how they met.
And what's that when Jim comes in, Taste goes stew. And,
he just says stew. He's like, oh, it's stew.
And the minute you see that, and the fact that it's a Christmas movie, you know that they're going to get back together. It's just what happens along the way, and what ends up happening is Michael decides to throw his weight around. So in order to stop the project, he has his right-hand man offer Jim a job in Bolivia. Oh, the cost will be you have to be single to try to, thinking he can be bought off.
Yeah.
But finds out that's not the case. And they're more determined than ever to see this through, even though they basically have no shot.
Yeah.
But through Mary starting to soften Michael, and even Michael can figure out that his daughter truly loves this man. Mm-hmm. He finally, there's some scenes that we're not going to cover, but basically
the restaurant scene.
The restaurant scene. It's just go watch the movie. The restaurant scene, because that guy and the tailor are two great one-scene performances.
The table.
Yes, but the guy, the
uneven legs. And just so
Jim. One of the running gags in the movie is Aloysius keeps walking in on Mike, making these big deals over the phone, and thinks Mike's got screws loose. Not knowing who he is.
Be a millionaire.
Yeah. Well, it does it again, but he goes, no, I'm on the level this time. He goes, I know the janitor in the O'Connor building, and he's got it in and said, and Mr. O'Connor will see you. So the three, Jim, Whitey, and the third guy all go in to see him. And when they see Mike behind the desk, they shove him in a closet. Yeah. And then, of course, his right-hand man comes in. Yeah. And I love when he goes, what are you doing in the closet, Mr. O'Connor? Goes, I like it in there.
It's stuffy, it's not warm.
So they basically,
Jim, I love it because you get out and the guy's like, and when they realize who he is, it's like they pan over Jim's passed out on the floor.
Yeah. And so, of course, obviously, Jim and Trudy get together, Michael and Mary, reconnect, and they, both. And Jim asks Aloysius to live with them, and Michael and Mary kind of make the same overture. But Aloysius says, "I'm too old to change my ways." And then, it's got its happy ending. They've said their goodbyes. Aloysius has moved on, and Michael and Mary are talking to each other. He goes, Mary, remind me to have that when the fence boarded up. He goes, next year he's coming in through the front door, and it's just very heartwarming movie.
The kicker is like, you're like, where are you gonna stay? He's, well, I'm going down this place called Bubbling in Virginia,
Bubbling Springs.
Yeah. When Mr. O'Connor's up here, I go down there.
That's right, because they never let on that he never finds out who they are.
No.
And
you kind of wonder because did they ever see him ever again? Because he's an older man and he's homeless. I don't know. Hopefully he smokes. So
of course they do, because this is a Christmas feel good movie, right? And everybody has a happy ending. And like I said, this is of all the movies I watch every year, I feel like I said this one, I think is the most, as I said before, most heartwarming. I don't know if there's, if Rob would be looking for a deeper meaning anywhere. I just think it's about, relationships,
being kind to others during Christmas.
Yeah, and
humanity.
Nothing that has been done can't be undone. No. I.e., I said a divorce. If two people truly love each other, they can find their way back together. Sometimes it takes a special set of circumstances, and in this case, it's the circumstances that brought all these people together. And like I said, and everything works out because that's kind of how it works in these movies, and that's fun.
Right. It takes place in New York City.
Not here.
Not here.
No.
No, but director Roy Del Ruth is the one and I notice a lot of times sometimes the director is actually the producer as well. The producer, but the company he bought the rights because he wanted to direct this movie or something like that, or someone brings it to him. So Roy Del Ruth is a director and also the producer. Writers Everett, Freeman, Vick Knight, and Herbert, Clyde Lewis. I'm sure this is based off a play or a book or something before.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah. So basically, looking at trivia, I look at my IMDb sometimes. Look at this stuff too. It says it was originally planned to be directed by Frank Capra, but he chose to do "It's a Wonderful Life" instead.
Yeah, well, definitely.
Yeah.
It's a Wonderful Life. Now, remember at the time, it was not a hit when it first came out, but it had Jimmy Stewart.
You also have Gale Storms singing in this. It's in the musical shop.
Yeah,
$30 an hour.
No, a week.
Or sorry, so a week or I thought it was a day or something.
Yeah, no. But yeah, you can't blame Frank Capra for. Now you have to wonder how the movie would have turned out if it had been him directing. But I think this movie turned out to be, very, very good. And like I said, if you've got a chance, you're working with James Stewart, Donna Reed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how big a star Donna Reed was at the time.
No,
but Lionel Barrymore was a giant in the industry.
But I like there's a line here that Eloise says. Here, so he says, I would like to feel that you're all my friends. For to be without friends is a serious form of poverty.
Yeah,
and like you said, like that's deep.
like somebody who says, I think he's the richest one of us all because he's he gets it. And like I said, it's just one of those movies where everything this just kind of fits together, and it's a nice 2-hour distraction from the real world. And and even though this movie's almost 80 years old now, it's just like I said, I look forward to seeing it every year.
So there's a song called "Mary Is a Grand Old Name." Is used in this movie multiple times, but is also from a play on Broadway, or that basically that Victor Moore was in, called 40 Minutes from Broadway, and they sing that song. So this song's been in this movie multiple times, and also the thing is that if you look closely watching this, look at the sheet music that she has, that she's playing in front of her. It's "Oh Susanna," that become the Gale Storm television show title 9 years later. So there's little cool Easter eggs like that in this movie. Some clean stew, which is similar to a goulash with ingredients of beef pasta and tomato sauce, which kind of sounds kind of cool. I actually want to try that now. Hope it's not too much watery. Yeah. The story was originally produced optional. Okay, that's something else. But like I said, overall, this was a fun movie. This in the shop around the corner. I don't know how much popular the shop around the corner is compared to this. To me personally, I like them both equally the same. I thought they're really both great. Obviously, the other one has more star power because it has Jimmy Stewart. Jimmy Stewart's probably more well known. But I thought this was done well. Don DeFore was really good in this. You said Charles Ruleg. His name is
Ruggles.
Ruggles.
Yeah.
Every year, and Anne Harding. So when I first scheduled this, I'm like, I wasn't paying attention that Anne Harding's actually the mother in the movie. I thought it was Trudy's character. Trudy's,
No, I saw that. I noticed that when you put that up there. I said that I could tell that was done by somebody that hadn't seen the movie yet.
Yeah, so probably
because they're listed first and second on I think IMDb or something.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the IMDb as I go by IMDb, and that's how I was confused, and then I realized, it's the daughter. That's the okay. But overall, like I said, Victor Moore and Charles Ruggles, those two are just like Abbott and Stella a little bit in this, a little bit. I love it.
Their scenes together are fun. So I said, I'm glad you liked it. It's I said it. I like recommending this to people because it's like I said, it's kind of. I did notice I found a top 41 Christmas movie list.
Wow.
They had everything from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. and this made the list,
Wow.
which I was happy to see because I just assumed that this had been completely lost to time, and I noticed A Holiday Affair also made the
It's
list.
funny
Which
because when I looked this movie up originally on YouTube, somebody said the movie that people forgot or time forgot, and and I'm like, so it's funny you bring that up because you wonder sometimes because like they get overshadowed by the bigger movies. It's a Wonderful Life. Jimmy Stewart had two Christmas movies.
I think Miracle on 34th Street was either that year or the year after.
Yep.
So I mean, arguably the two best known Christmas movies ever are
Mm-hmm.
right in this time period. So of course this got buried. But for
Yeah.
anybody that digs this up and watches it, more often than not, it's something that will go into their rotation
Right.
because this is just a really fun movie. And
I
I'm
just
not going to tell you it's as good as those two. I think it is, but it doesn't. In my opinion, it doesn't take a back seat to either one of them either.
No, and I said like this. I love these kind of movies like this. Shop Around the Corner. First time seeing this. The first time seeing the Fifth and Fifth. It happened on Fifth Avenue. I'm really not a big Christmas movie. I don't really go on my way to watch a lot of stuff. I grew up, of course, as a kid watching stuff like Jingle All the Way. But like, I've been doing this channel with Rob. We've been getting into the Bogart films, and I'm just loving just the way things were done back then. The people dressed, the way people acted. Um, the conveniences, they didn't have microwaves, the way you had to turn on certain things in order to cook stuff, and I love in the 40s going to the 50s and just the technological advancements they were making. So
I think one of the reasons why you've kind of taken to some of this stuff is when you go through life, when
mm-hmm.
you make new friends and you make friends with people based on shared interests generally.
Yes.
And you see some of the things that they're passionate about and vice versa, and you realize, hey, this stuff's pretty good, and things that you wouldn't have maybe been exposed to before or chose not to be exposed to.
You're a bad
Once you
influence.
are, you realize this stuff is pretty cool, and that's and I do, admittedly, I do think it's easier when the other person is older, and because they
Incredibly older, yeah, and they have much more wisdom.
no, I wasn't going to say that. I'm going to say much more time to have watched things
Oh,
to expose people to it. So I think that's because I've noticed the same thing with with comics.
yeah.
The stuff that interests you now may not have been the same as it was 5 years ago.
Well, it's no secret that we're doing stuff on the Geeky Puppet Show. There's a lot of comic books I would not read by myself. Some of the Avengers stuff I read with you guys because I'm having fun with it, and I get to appreciate the comic book more. Vice versa with you, or when we read the Teen Titans Go stuff. That's something you never would have. You admitted I'll never read this by myself, but you get a kick out of it because it's just hanging out with friends, and it's kind of what this movie's all about: friendship, making and just humanity. I guess it's just taking in people who need a hand, and another guy opening up his heart again and finding love and then reconnecting with his wife, and then you get the daughter who's just become madly in love with this guy, and like very early beginning when she meets his friend who's basically they're homeless living inside the car, and they're so they bring him in. They're up there talking. He's like, and I ask him, how did you get your husband to propose you? And they're like someplace, and like I think it was a theater. I think he said. He's like, she kept asking questions. He's like, uh huh. And finally, it's like, they got married, and like because it was very clear, and I already had to know that she was madly in love with him. And then what she does, I love it, how she gets his attention, and she puts on that dress. And she caught my attention. Wow, I know. And yeah, I'm curious. So was she actually 18 in this movie, or is she a little older?
No, a little older.
It's hard
not
to tell.
A whole lot, but
yeah. But I mean, because some people look younger than other, and like Laura McCall, she was about in her early.
She
20s.
was 20 when they made their first movie together.
Yeah, and she looked older.
and he was
the way that
40.
She carried herself.
She was 20. He was 44.
Yeah. So, like I said, this is a very fun movie. Marani's in the chat saying the fact that some people had maids to take care of things, and it wasn't the so-called rich people, pretty common in the movies of this era. So that see the maid from Miracle on 34th Street and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said, it's like I love it. There's so much things cool about this movie. You guys really need to check it out. It's definitely on my. It's my next to do next year. I recently watched The Thin Man about a month ago, earlier this month, and it's a good movie. I just came across it by accident. I was looking at movies. We were making a list for being Rob to do. And I was like, The Thin Man, and of course Rob rolls his eyes. Because I guess he's not a fan of the next movies or something. I'm not sure, whatever the case is. But honestly, I'd love to review that too. And oh my gosh, the Shadowbat King makes his return 3 years later.
Has it really been 3 years since I've been a part of this? Seriously?
I think it's been 3 years.
Yeah. So are you guys? It sounded like you guys are wrapping up.
Yeah, we were.
The tail end. Okay.
So nothing's changed in 3 years.
Yeah, nothing's changed in 3 years. Yeah.
So we've been over the movie. We've talked it through, and but you're here. Give us your impressions on this movie. I don't do impressions. I'm training in psychiatry.
Yeah. God bless Airplane. Yes. Okay. So yeah, you introduced me to this movie, 2 years ago, I think, maybe 3.
Oh my gosh, he is a bad influence. He's introduced you, and I introduced me.
I know, right? And so I watched it, and it comes at a time where I needed it. I'm a little bit tired of the hyper realism that we get nowadays, and I liked a lot of the artifice. Like, it starts off, you can absolutely tell that the lead character, when you first see him, is walking on a treadmill of sorts in front of a green screen, or a blue screen at the time. Actually, I would probably be rear screen projection. I love that bit. Like, everything is a set and you know it. So it's got a certain charm to it beyond just the story itself. The kind of over the top acting when the guy's getting evicted out of his apartment. Everything.
They carry the bat out.
Yeah, with him.
It's going to be right there.
Yeah, everything just lined up. It came at the time I needed movies like this. Very simple, very quaint. It's Christmas adjacent. It's one of those films, but it absolutely has the heart that you need and want in a movie like this, and or definitely at Christmas time. Maranya mentioned 86 the horror comics, what we do over the comic reviews or comic cover reviews, and yeah, I get that, because you want to leave with that good feeling, and that's what I get from this movie. I truly just think it's a joy to watch. I do think it's I don't know, everybody going along with it. I think at some point in time, maybe the father would have lost his before he actually did. But it was an interesting take on kind of almost like the Ebenezer Scrooge storyline, because you have the rich miser not going through past, present, and future spectrally, but he's actually doing it through the dialogue of the movie with his.
One quick difference that he's rich, yes. Miser, no. He just is money obsessed. It wasn't that he wasn't sharing it with anybody, but it's just he was that he cared more about his money than he did about his marriage, and apparently his daughter's happiness, because he just assumed that putting her off in a boarding school would be enough. I love it when she goes, "You left finishing school." She goes, "I'm finished."
Yeah, it's a very.
She gets in a cab. She kicks the taxi. You gotta follow it up, because she gets a taxi cab, and she gets in there. He calls her behind her. The taxi. She jumps out. The taxi drives away. Then she goes in his cab, his limo, whatever he had. So then, when he comes back, he thinks it's his. He gets in it, and there's an old lady. And he's like, "Oh, my apologies."
Yeah, it becomes a vaudeville sketch.
I love it. That was so effortlessly. I was not expecting that. Like I said, this movie is just like it's a one of a kind for me.
It's my favorite part of it is when he's shoveling snow in front of his own business, and his people come up and see him. And also later when that same guy comes up to break up the strike, and he's the one that throws fruit at him. But yeah, just that whole scene where he's shoveling snow and he's got to pull him into the limo to, okay, shush, just go with it.
But even that guy isn't a complete, crumb bomb, because he comes along, he goes along with him. And to your point, you said at some point Michael would have lost it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in any movie that was striving for even one iota of realism, he would have. But this is a holiday fantasy. Yeah. And of course, right before he can, here comes the angelic ex-wife and to keep him in line, and of course reconnect.
I think the tone is set for what you should believe and what you need to wrap your head around as far as getting through this movie is set very early. Mm-hmm. There's a scene where he's been evicted, he's sleeping in the park, and a dog drags a sprinkler underneath the bench he's sleeping on, and he's just laying there. If you can't get past that scene, you're not going to be good with the rest of the movie. But if you could just kind of chuckle it off, you're good to go.
That scene, the dog, I went straight back to the Thin Man kind of like gags they did in that movie. And I was just like, oh my gosh, that dog is awesome. It's like
there you go. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoy this film. Thank you very much for pointing it out. And it is now a staple. I look for, it's one of those movies I look for to put on. By the way, also I am going at some point in time in the next couple of days. Somebody asked me to do this last year, and I thought, wow, that's going to be big and unwieldy. Is I put together all of the Christmas movies and specials I can remember seeing, and going to go over them and tier list them. Feel free to join for commentary. I mean, it's going to be more of a one-man show as far as the choices are concerned, or y'all can influence. You never know, but I put it together over the years.
We should have done is, we used to do our top 10s. Mm-hmm. We should do one for holiday movies. Yeah, we should have done that this year.
Well, we do have tomorrow.
We can do that tomorrow. I've got my list. I don't have them in order, but I've got a list already.
I'd love to do that. Literally wrote every I know there's movies I've seen that I could not tell you about right now. So I made sure that I only included movies that I can say at least a minute's worth of commentary on.
All right, but Tuesday, Rob's gonna be off as well. He's gonna come back to about I think probably about next or Sunday. We'll probably do something, but Tuesday I might go live by myself on something. So if you gentlemen
that's Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why I said, Jerry's coming over, and I might just have put him on for a bit. That's kind of become a Christmas Eve tradition.
I can't promise anything. Christmas Eve is our Christmas.
Like I said, there might be something. I might go live by myself on the channel here to talk about something, but
all right, But I'm looking forward. You need to do at least 3 tier lists: one for ranking best, for animated specials, and for holiday movies. I can't share here.
I actually did do a ranking a while back.
Ranking
bass stream on here. It's in our Christmas playlist.
Well, I look at that and I see 2 out of 3 nights off for me. I can watch more games. I'll see it for the holiday movies, bitches.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is a fun movie. I'm looking forward to reviewing some more stuff. And then we don't go too long.
Pop that up real quick.
We're not going to go too long on there. We got your stuff.
No. This is just. Oh wait, nope. That's the wrong one, isn't it? Wait a second. No, it isn't. Here you go. These are all the holiday movies and specials. Surprisingly enough, there's only 136 of them.
So you're ranking 136? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I was planning on making it a day. Seriously, it was going to be a thing.
Starting at 8 o'clock. Like,
started at 8, and not like I said. My plan was I was just going to go on. It was going to be a one-man show, but I'll welcome any commentaries because I know there's going to be some things where it's like, hey, look, as much as I appreciate and I love the fact you introduced me to It Happened on Fifth Avenue, Holiday Affair didn't hit me the same way, so I know there's conversation to be
now we're
had.
kicking you. That is a staple in the Christmas tradition. But no, hey,
Gale doesn't like that I like bad movies. If you tell me a movie really sucks, by the way, that makes me interested in seeing it. I want to see why it sucks. And I actually enjoy some really
I heard the
bad
Crying
Christmas
Game
movies.
sucks. You should go watch that.
I've seen that. It did. I didn't like that movie very much.
You were crying afterwards too. Anyway, though, final thoughts on this movie.
Oh, it's absolutely a must. I mean, it is a must-watch Christmas movie now.
How about you, Breen?
Kind of the same as I said before. It had the historical misfortune of coming out in the same time period as It's a Wonderful Life and Miracle on 34th Street, so it absolutely gets lost in the shuffle. But it's definitely well worth checking out. And I said, most people that I have introduced it to, or whoever introduced me to it, got a fan for life out of it. And I think most people will be, because it's just I said heartwarming. If I had one word description.
This is one movie I'll be looking forward to see if I can get it on DVD or Blu-ray. I'll probably go online because I don't think Walmart's going to have this in their 4-pack.
What you want to get is the TCM Holiday Classic Collection, and because it also has it has the 1938 Scrooge movie. It has Christmas in Connecticut, another movie that I definitely recommend, and Shop Around the Corner.
I'll have to go get. I have what used to be the exclusive company is basically still has the DVDs, and I'll have to look see if they have this at all, because sometimes that's where I find my older stuff. Half price books I can't really find anything anymore. Nowadays I'm forced to order off of Amazon, sadly, because Amazon is the only place that actually has you can look to find stuff for DVDs if I'm looking for specific things. There's also Shout Factory I go on to as well, but unfortunately, trying to find stores that aren't like hoarder stores, like thrift stores. Like, they have some over here, but like, I want to be able to get out in case there's a fire. Like, we got a couple of those, and it's just like, and you come across an animal, you don't know if how long it's been there, if it's even alive. It's like, cat, move. It's like, yeah. So, like I said, this is a movie I'll be looking for to see. Get it on a DVD collection. Obviously, why not? If I get I love the 4 movie collections and given DVDs.
Yeah, I'd say that one collection has 3 of my absolute must-watch every year movies. So that's one collection. It's a TCM Holiday Classic Collection. It has Christmas in Connecticut, Shop Around the Corner, It Happened on Fifth Avenue, and the 1938 Scrooge.
None of those are bad.
All right.
I like Christmas in Connecticut. I don't know which one you count as the least one, but I like Christmas in Connecticut as well.
So I was just trying to convince Venkman he needs to watch that, because that's in my all-time top 5.
I said,
I love it.
I can still make a musical as long as the whole movie isn't like 12 songs.
This isn't a musical. There's one scene, they sing one song at the piano because that's what Dennis Morgan was.
And that's kind of what they did in and what's it? Well, in this movie they did a little song here, but
it's the same thing. But he was saying before, if you can suspend, if you just are willing to go along on the first scene of Christmas in Connecticut, these two sailors have been on a raft stuck out to sea for like 3 weeks.
What is the one where it's not the fish?
Apparently they didn't need to shower, go to the bathroom, or eat. But if you can get by that, then you'll.
There's another one where a guy goes. He's engaged to this woman and goes to meet her parents, but then her parents talk her out of it because she second guesses about marrying him. It was an older Christmas movie. I was looking it up. I don't think it was the Bishop's Wife.
No, you're not talking about Remember the Night, are you?
Maybe.
That's where Barbara Stanwyck plays a woman that was caught for shoplifting, and her family lives along the way to where Fred McMurray's family does, and he plays a district, like assistant district attorney. So he gives her a ride home, and she falls for him. He wants to marry her, but his parents or his mother doesn't want her to because it would be bad for her son's career. So it's basically, it's very even the well-meaning characters are very prejudicial against her, but it kind of makes sense because at the time, image was everything, perceptions were everything in those days. But it's
Mm-hmm.
As a semi uplifting ending because if you think they might end up making it the end, but basically that's one of two movies that ends with the female lead being deposited back in prison. That and I'll Be Seeing You both end that way, but
yeah, because there's quite a few. Remember the Night? Yeah, that's the one I was looking at before. That's what I was. So you've watched it before?
Well, I've seen it 3 times. I don't own it, and since I don't have the ability to record anymore, it's not on Tubi, it's not on YouTube. I don't own the movie. Yeah. The only way, and without looking up on the website, I can't see what's coming up for more than 2 hours at a time. So I just decided not to mess with it this year. But it's a good movie. It's it's
unfortunately, unless you have you got a time or TCM or some one of those basically collections you see on TV and stuff. Some of these movies I cannot find them streaming anywhere, even on any great sites whatsoever.
That's why your old buddy Eric says if you don't need the money or the money doesn't make it, doesn't matter. No, more thing.
Remember the Night.
Save your physical media.
Yeah. I said I'll look it up though because I was interested. That was one of the ones I was looking at, but I wasn't sure if it was really a Christmas movie.
Let me just say, it's very much a Christmas movie because it takes place right through Christmas. But if you're looking for a Barbara Stanwyck Christmas vehicle, Christmas in Connecticut is 10 times more fun to watch, and you get Sidney Greenstreet. What more do you need?
Right?
And CK's a call. See, like I said, I was telling you the other night, their scenes together are fantastic, and I said it's just a great whimsical farcical movie, but it's absolutely one of my favorites.
Silver Screen Icons is the DVD collection you're talking about.
You guys ever watch Blondie's Holiday?
Blondie's Holiday? Yeah, I saw it when I was a kid.
Yeah,
I used to love the Blondie movies. I highly recommend any of the Blondie movies from the 1940s you're talking about, right?
Yeah. Blondie's Holiday, 1947.
All of them. Blondie Goes to College was another favorite. They used to show the Saturday movie after all the cartoons, and sometimes it would be a Blondie movie, and I check
because that was another one I was looking at for too. I type in 1940s Christmas movies, and then I look to see which one can I actually find access to find to watch. Because
the guy they got to play Dagwood is exactly what you think would look and sound like in real life.
He does. That's what I saw him I'm like Blondie, and then as soon as it said I looked, it says Dagwood. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the comic strip.
Yep.
Yeah. Because I used to get Blondie mixed with High and Lois back in the day as a kid.
Did you know?
Go ahead.
Did you know that Beetle Bailey is Lois's brother?
Wow.
That I did not know.
Yes. Did not know it.
That is true.
Wow.
That is a true fact.
That's like Gomer Pyle being on 2 different shows.
Well, he did start off in Mayberry.
So we have a reading in about 5 minutes. So what are we ranking tonight?
We are ranking Santa Claus funnies from Dell in the 1940s.
That'll be
there you go.
Comics. It's going to be a 10 fest.
Same people that will be probably at the readings and already knew that. But for those of you that watch this stream later, well, it's already happened, but you can find it on I Love Comics.
And it's going to be a lot.
So go back and watch it.
We're going to have fun. They are gorgeous. The Dell covers are awesome anyway, but
check out a whole month's worth of Christmas comic covers exclusively over on I Love Comics. Tier list rankings. A lot
I
of
forgot
fun
to tell
stuff.
you guys.
Family friendly. Well, except for the chat. Ignore the chat.
One of Dave's third or fourth Christmas video.
Yeah.
He has the Action Comics where he's shoving Santa down the chimney, the fat Santa. He has the
And where does he live? What's his security?
Somewhere in Colorado. I can't break it. I can't be more specifics. I don't know. Or I'd be leading the caravan.
Right.
He's got this. I think the Sensation Comics with Wonder Woman on the chimney. The Santa stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was like watching that video is like watching one of our cover challenges. Only the books were there.
Real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I definitely recommend those videos. They're short, and you see some awesome stuff.
All right. But we're gonna wrap it up here. You guys know the drills. Click subscribe if you haven't done so, and leave a comment down below. What do you think of this movie? And also, do you think it's better than Shop Around the Corner, or where does this rank on your Christmas movies? Leave a comment.
Shop Around the Corner, then it happened, but
in the comments.
Way.
We need that.
In
the comment. All right.
All right, later, guys, and have a Merry Christmas.
Good night, kids.
And if we don't see you on Tuesday, have a Happy New Year.
It won't even be Christmas yet.
I know, but we may not see them until New Year's. Who knows?
We're on every night.
I'm leaving them in suspense. Okay, stay tuned.
Okay.